Hi everybody, thanks for joining me for another tutorial in Melinda's Rubber Room. I'm Melinda Pierce, I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm here today to show you how to make this fun drapery fold card. So it's actually quite easy to make once you learn all of the scoring lines and cutting lines. So I'm going to go through that with you today. I'm just going to point you down to my work surface and get right to it. Okay, so this is a card that we just made today on my Zoom class. Those are free classes that I offer on Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to noon. All the information is on my Facebook page at Melinda's Rubber Room, so you can find out all the latest information there. So we are going to start with a piece of designer series paper, and that measures 5 3/8 by 10, and it is scored at 1 inch, 1.5, 2.5, 3, 4, 4.5, 5.5, 6, 7, 7.5, and 8.5, and 9. And what we're going to do is measure along the 10-inch side, and we're going to make a little tick mark with a pencil. So I'm just going to put this back in my cut and scoring machine and measure over, just looking at my notes here, at 4.5 and 5.5. So I'm going to move this over to 4.5, and this is my cutting line, so I know that's where my 4.5 mark is. And then I'm going to move this over to 5.5 and make my little tick mark there as well. And you need to make it on the top and the bottom. Just going back to 4.5, make that line. And then up on the other side, on the 5 3/4 side, you're going to make a tick mark at 2 3/4. I'm sorry, 2 3/16. So that is 1, 2, 3 16ths and 3 3/16. So 1, 2, 3. And again, you want to do that on both sides of your cardstock or your designer series paper. Okay, so you can see on my white piece of paper here, I've made my tick lines on the top and the bottom and on the two sides, and this side I've already cut off the piece that I'm going to be cutting off now. So what you're going to do is put your designer series paper into your cutter, and I'm lining up this bottom tick line in my cutting channel with this tick line here. So it's the closest tick lines that are going to be cut on a diagonal. Just like so. Same with on the other side. So the center tick line is going to be cut to this closest tick line. We'll do the same thing on this side, lining up those tick lines. Just like so. Okay, so you should have a piece that looks like that. I'm just going to go back and erase my pencil marks. And I should say this is the card that I'm making now. This was the card that I did during my Zoom class. And I'm using the designer series paper that's only available for one more day during celebration. You can get the paper free for a $50 purchase. So if you're interested in getting this gorgeous paper, make sure you place your order today for a $50 order, and you will earn a free celebration set. So there's a couple different ways that you can fold your designer series paper, depending on which look you're after. So you can see on my original one, I have both sides of my designer series paper showing. On this one, I don't. I just have at one side, and you can see the center portion is kind of the difference. This has the center portion at the uppermost portion of my card. So that's at the very top. This one, the center, is down attached to the base of my card. So it's basically turned over on itself. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways. It's a little hard to see my score lines on this paper, but I'll try to do the best I can. So you're just doing an accordion fold, starting off with a mountain fold at the front, at the edge. And then when you get to the center, you're going to have both of those folds facing towards each other. And then I'm doing another accordion going the other way. Okay, so you can see if I do it this way, you're going to see both colors of my designer series paper. You see a little bit of pink edges along these little corners. Because my print is so large, I kind of like the way it looks on this one, where you don't see any of the pink. So you can also turn it this way, and you just see all pink. So depending on which look you're after, you could certainly do it that way, or this way. Or you can just reverse your folds. And this will make it look like the one that I did during my Zoom class. So you're not seeing any of the extra pink on the other side. You just see all of the birds. And then if you turn it this way, you see all pink, but you have a little bit of the white showing through. So different options. I would suggest taking your designer series paper and playing with it. If you have a small design, it might look nice doing it this way with a little bit peeking through. With a larger design, I think it looks better this way, but it really depends on your preference. So what I'm going to do at this point is just take my bone folder and reinforce all of those folds. This will just help it lay down a little bit nicer for you. And do it from the front as well. Okay, so what I like to do is on the back side, I just take a little bit of washi tape. You could just take regular tape as well. And I'm just going to hold that down, hold those creases down a little bit, just so it doesn't want to open up on me as much. And you can glue all of these down if you want. What I tend to do is just put the tape down on the back and then just kind of spot glue it when I turn it over. So I'll turn it over and just put little bits of glue right underneath those pleats. This is a great way to use up some of your designer series paper that you've been holding on to for a while. Sometimes it's hard to cut into that designer series paper in the beginning, so you end up with a whole bunch of it and you don't know quite what to do with it. So this is a great way to use it up, because it does use a 10-inch piece to begin with. Okay, so then we have a piece of regular cardstock that measures 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. So that's the base of my card. Make sure my edges match up. And I have a matte piece, and that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. So before I glue that onto my base piece, I'm going to glue my designer series paper on first, because it does tend to overlap a little bit with your matte piece. It's really hard to get those measurements exact. So it's easiest to go with the measurements that are pretty close, and then just go back and cut off some of your excess paper on the edges and clean those up. So I'm just putting some glue on my designer series paper. Turn that over. I'm going to center that as much as I can. And that way you're cutting off the same amount on the left, right, and top. I'm just going to turn this over, have a little bit to cut off on the top and on the sides. Just like so. And then this is going to be attached to the front of my card. I just love the colors in this designer series paper. I'm really going to miss being able to use it and sell it. But again, it can be yours free for one more day. Glad they didn't sell out of it yet. Okay, so there is that. And then I have a die cut piece that I've done. This was just cut out of that same designer series, but the back side of it. And so that's going to go on like that. And I'm just going to stamp a little greeting on there. Let's see if I can find one. Into just a note. Little mat here. I might put it that way, just to make it a little bit different. And then I believe I cut out a little bird. So the little bird is cut out from that same designer series paper. Okay, so I'm just going to take this piece and put it down like that. I'm going to raise it up on dimensionals. I'll get my take-a-pick tool. Makes it a little bit easier to attach your dimensionals. And then to take off the top covering of those, you can just use your take-a-pick tool as well. That way you don't have your little pieces floating all over the house. I'll put that right in the center. And I'll take my little birdie, which I cut out from my designer series paper, and put that right down there. Here's that cute little card. I'm just in the inside. I'm going to keep it blank, but I am going to put a white piece on the inside and maybe put another little bird in there. There's my white piece, and that measures 4 by 5 1/4. I'm bringing my designer series paper so you can see all the little birdies that are in here. They're super cute and fun to cut out and use in different ways. So I have one here. I'll just stick that one right there. we go. There is that completed card. Hope you enjoyed that and learned something new. Super fun card to make. You can make it for all occasions. Just mixing up the different designer series paper. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me on my YouTube channel or on my Facebook page at Melinda's Rubber Room. And if you'd like to place an order, you can do so on my Stampin' Up! Website at www.melindapierce.stampinup.net. Thank you. Nice of you to join me. Bye-bye.